Perfection. Perfection in Stardew Valley essentially means completing 100% of the game's content. That includes shipping one of each crop, cook every recipe, catch all fish, max out every skill, completing all the Monster Slayer goals, and so much more. I have over 600 hours in Stardew, multiple save files on different farms, but I never actually achieved perfection myself. I came pretty close though on my forest farm playthrough. I mean, not really, but I tried. And I think it's about time to change that. Can someone like me, who didn't even come remotely close to that goal before, reach perfection? Let's find out. I will be editing these as 100 days type of videos because, well, I don't know how else I would do it. So if that sounds like something that you would enjoy, then stick around. I didn't really have any major goals for the first year of playing, but I did wanted to try to finish the community center and have at least one fish pond on my farm. Before we begin though, I'd like to point out that this is by far the most time-consuming project that I have on my channel. You know when 100 days YouTubers say that these videos take a lot of effort to make? Well, they're not lying. So I am asking you to leave a like, right now. I'll even wait a second.
One eternity later.
Thank you. Now, please enjoy the video. I decided to play on the Riverlands farm this time, which I know, controversial, but hear me out. I played on the standard, beach, Meadowlands, and multiple times on the forest farm, so I wanted to try out something new. I created my character and ended up with the name Riverside Farm, because that was literally the first thing that came up when I googled for farm names. And my favorite thing, of course, is Kiwi, one of my two birds, which you can hear in every single video. Because these little guys are loud, and they have opinions. Anyways, here we are, on the Riverlands farm. I cleaned up a bit, planted my parsnips that I got from Louis, crafted my first chest, and then headed out to meet some of the townies. I also stopped by Pierre's to buy 10 potato seeds. Did some foraging in the Cindersap forest, got a look for those spring onions, and then wanted to head home from the southern entrance, but my way was blocked off by some debris, so I had to walk all the way around it. Cleaned up the farm a bit more, and yeah, not much else to do on day one. Next morning, I went straight to the beach where Willy gave me his old fishing rod. Thanks, buddy. After a bit of fishing by the ocean and the mountain lake, I dumped all my fish in the chest and checked for more spring onions. While I was doing that, I found my first ever carrot seeds. Hey, I take all the free loot that I can get. Did some late night fishing at my farm as well, and was surprised to see that I can also catch a bream on here. After going to bed, I reached level 2 in fishing. I'm trying to get to level 5 as quickly as I can, so that I can sell my fish for more money. Day number 3, the rain poured down on my farm, and I was super happy that I didn't have to water my crops. I spent most of my day fishing. I initially just wanted to chill by the mountain lake, but then decided I should probably check again for forageables, since every bit of money counts early on. And holy moly, I am so glad I did. Look at all those spring onions! Inventory space was once again a problem, so I made another chest and then went to bed. After watering my crops on day 4, I picked up the 2 artifacts that I have gathered so far and visited Gunther at the museum for the first time. While I was in town, I met a few more villagers, did more fishing down at the beach, dropped off everything that I had at home, and yeah, guess what? More fishing. My hard work paid off that day because I managed to get to level 3 in fishing. Marnie paid me a visit the next morning, and she had the most adorable dog with her. She asked if I'd like to adopt him, and I mean, obviously. I ended up naming him Rusty. Such a good boy. I collected my first harvest of parsnips, and with that, reached my first level up in farming. Don't worry, I won't be mentioning the level ups anymore, unless it's either level 5 or 10. I waited very patiently in front of the carpenter, since I wanted to hand Robin a Joja Cola for a quest she posted yesterday. I remember it was actually a Friday, so I visited the traveling merchant, but she didn't have anything of interest to me. As I was heading into town, I got the cutscene with Mia Lewis at the community center. I'm sure we've all seen this one multiple times, so I don't think I need to show this. I inspected the weird tablet inside, then visited Pierre's, where I sold the forageables that I found earlier, and my parsnips. Thankfully, it was enough for me to buy the backpack upgrade. The boulder got removed that was near the mountain lake, so I went into the mines, where I stumbled upon Marlon, who gave me a rusty sword to defend myself. I made some progress down in the mineshaft, and even found a random green jacket. I forgot that you can now also find clothing and hats from random tasks, so I was a bit confused at first. Didn't match my style whatsoever, but hey, I got a free jacket. I wanted to progress a bit further, but I was out of stamina, so I left and headed home. Since I was in the mines yesterday and found some ores, I had Clint at my front door the next morning, who handed me a blueprint for a furnace. I received a letter from the local wizard, who asked me to pay him a visit so we can discuss, and I quote, the rat problem. Have these people ever seen an actual rat? I picked up my 2 parsnips and carrots and then headed into the Cindersap forest. At the wizard's tower, Osmodius introduced himself. We spoke about the rat problem, drank a weird potion, and now I can understand the little creatures. After this delightful experience, I bought 2 bean starters, 2 cauliflowers, and more parsnips. Donated all of the spring forageables to the community center, and with that, finished my first bundle. I had a bit of coal saved up by now, so I moved my fish smoker outside and tested it out for the first time. Nice and cozy. Day number 7, I picked up my potatoes, replanted some of the spring seeds that I've got yesterday, then headed straight into the mines. After a bit of exploring, I made it to floor 20. Back in town, I accepted another help wanted quest from Robin, who asked for a cave carrot this time. I'll be doing these as often as I can, since I really want to get the goodies from the prize machine in Louis' house. After dropping off the carrot for Robin, I visited the Adventure Guild, where I sold some of the weapons and equipment that I found in the mines. I spent the rest of my evening by the mountain lake to do some more fishing. The next morning, I saw that I had a crow plundering my crop field, and that reminded me that I should probably craft a scarecrow, which I did. It was a good luck day, so I spent a good amount of my time down in the mines, where I made it to floor 30. Later in the evening, I made my way into town to check some of the trash cans, and I found 2 cooked dishes in a row while searching, cookies and a maki roll, which I need for the community center. The maki roll, not the cookies. Before heading to bed, I did a bit of fishing at my farm, and after a few minutes of struggling, I actually managed to pull in a catfish. Very excited about this one, since, again, something that I'll need for the bundles. On day number 9, I picked up all of the gems, artifacts and geodes that I've collected so far, and donated everything to the museum. Opened the geodes at the blacksmith, and then donated some more. I did a foraging run in the Cindersap forest, where I finally met the last villager, which was Jazz. I gave her a dandelion to get some free money from the quest, but unfortunately she didn't really appreciate my gift. While I was here, I also came across Leah, who I gave an anchovy for a quest that she posted yesterday. And with that finished, I got my first ever prize ticket. So I rushed over to the mayor's house, where Louis explained the use of the prize ticket machine to me. I traded in my ticket for 12 carrot seeds. After that, I went to Pierre's store, where I sold all of the forageables that I found earlier, then headed down to the beach, where I wanted to buy the fiberglass rod from Willy, but he just wasn't there? Where is he exactly? No idea. Anyways, back at my farm, I planted the carrot seeds that I got, and then cleaned up the area a bit more. The next morning, I harvested my rice and some parsnips, planted the rest of the carrot seeds, and then went straight to the beach, where I finally bought the fiberglass rod, and some bait with the rest of my money. I spent the first half of my day fishing by the ocean, then dropped off some of the fish at the community center to free up some chest space. I obviously couldn't finish any bundles from the fish tank right now, but it's still good progress. After a whole day of fishing, I finally made it to level 5, where I chose the fisher profession. Day 11, I sold almost all of the fish that I had in my chest, but kept a few since there's gonna be some cooking recipes later that need fish. Despite it being a bad luck day, I still wanted to try and make some progress down in the mines. I only made it to floor 35, but at least I got a few ores from my trip. After going to bed, I was pleased to see that my hard work from fishing paid off. The next day, I went straight to the blacksmith to commission a copper pickaxe upgrade. Opened a few geodes while I was there, and then donated more items to the museum. I spent a good chunk of my day cleaning up the farm, and while I was chopping some trees, I obtained Woody's Secret, my first book. This is actually a really good find. Now every tree has a 5% chance of dropping double wood, which is amazing. Day number 13 was everyone's favorite festival, the Egg Festival. I picked up my harvest and then finally realized that I can make fertilizer now. Replanted some wild seeds and spring seeds, and then went into town. I bought 10 strawberry seeds, and after chatting with everyone, it was time for the egg hunt. I absolutely destroyed Abigail and won by finding exactly 10 eggs. My reward was a classic straw hat, and now my head doesn't look that empty anymore. On day 14, I forgot to record almost the entire day. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Luckily, not that much happened. I planted my strawberry seeds in the morning, then got a hat while I was chopping down some trees, but I didn't like it since it covered up my hair. I visited the carpenter because I wanted to commission a coop, but I had too little money, so that was a waste of my time. Instead, I went to Clint, where I got my copper pickaxe and upgraded my axe. I gave Haley a daffodil because it was her birthday, went into the mines, and then finally realized that I wasn't recording. Actually, now that I think about it, that is quite a busy day. Look, I already said I'm sorry, okay? What else do you want? Day 15 to 18 were mostly spent foraging for salmon berries and also mining. On day 16, I obtained my second prize ticket, so I went once again to the mayor's house and traded it in for an orange tree. I don't think I've ever had a fruit tree this early on, so this is exciting. After going to bed that day, I got a cutscene with Mr. Chief flying around the valley and bombing the place with blue boxes, which means that from now on I can find mystery boxes. While collecting berries in the Cindersap forest on day 17, I came across a pot of gold, which I definitely remembered and didn't stumble upon on pure accident. Nevertheless, I got another hat and also a bit of money, which is always nice. The next morning, my first cauliflowers were ready, so I visited the community center where I finished the spring crops bundle. After that, I spent most of my day down in the mines where I had a near-death experience. One bat dropped a dwarvish scroll, but unfortunately I misclicked and went down the ladder instead. At least I made it to floor 60. Day 19 was mostly spent fishing on the farm, beach, and mountain lake. If you're wondering why I'm fishing at the beach, it's because I'm trying to stock up on seaweed for future ponds. Later that day, I got blessed with a truly amazing treasure chest. I got my first dinosaur egg, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I love fishing. The next morning, I finally had enough money to commission a coop, so I gathered all the necessary materials and visited the carpenter. I'm not entirely sure how I want to lay out things on the farm, but I thought here in the middle would be a cute spot for the animal buildings. Most of my day was spent cleaning up the farm a bit more, and later in the evening I wanted to buy Shane a beer for his birthday, but unfortunately I was missing a bit under 100 gold to be able to afford it. Sorry buddy, maybe next time. On day 21, I remembered that I can place a hat on Rusty. Look at this handsome little man. I made my way into the Cindersap forest, where I picked up a buttload of spring onions. Since it was a Sunday, I made sure to stop by the traveling cart and saw that she had a lobster for sale, which reminded me that I actually have everything that I need to finish the crabpot bundle. So I went back home, picked up a cockle and a mussel, rushed over to the community center and donated 2 pieces. As I made my way down to the beach, Louis caught me sniffing around in his trash can. Dude, I'm looking for free stuff, alright? I actually found a bean hot pot in one of the trash cans earlier, so I spent the rest of my day down in the mines, where I found my first of many diamonds. I got a decent amount of coal and ore from my trip, and called it a day when I reached floor 70. Day 22, I woke up to my first strawberry harvest. I kept the gold quality ones for gifting and sold the rest of them. I wanted to go straight to the mines once again, but decided to stop by this bubble spot at the mountain lake, and thank God I did, because I managed to fish up Jewels of the Sea, my second book. Now treasure chests have a chance to yield roe. It's nothing crazy, but still a nice bonus. And yeah, besides a bit more ore collecting and fishing, not much more happened that day. The next morning, I saw that my coop had been finished. Unfortunately, I have to wait with buying some chickens since it was a Tuesday and apparently Marnie doesn't like to work. After collecting some spring onions and other forageables, I went yet again into the mines, where I found my first mystery box. I decided it was about time to upgrade my weapons, so I visited the Adventure Guild, where I bought myself a pirate sword. I don't think I ever bought a weapon from here, but I've been getting pretty unlucky with the monster drops, and it takes about a minute to slay a monster at the current level where I'm at, so I really needed an upgrade. I made it down to floor 80 and reached level 5 in mining, where I chose the miner profession. Day 24 was the flower dance. Yay. I had nowhere near enough friendship points with anyone, so I just stood there very awkwardly and watched, as you do in the first year. One good thing though, I did end up buying one seasonal plant from Pierce, which I placed on my porch, and now it looks about 0.1% nicer on my farm. Day number 25, it was time to buy myself some chickens. Everyone please welcome lettuce, pepper, zucchini, and celery. I opened the hatch of my coop so that they could enjoy the fresh air and hay. You can't really see them, but they're there, I promise. You'll see them once they've grown up. I gave Evelyn an aquamarine for a quest she'd posted earlier, and then wanted to crack open some geodes, but it was closed unfortunately. The next morning I had Demetrius on my front door. He asked if he can set up the cave nearby to attract some local species. I really wanted to have the mushroom cave this time, but for the sake of the community center, I thought it was best to go with the fruit bats. Speaking about the community center, I stopped by the traveling cart, and to my surprise, she actually sold one red apple, which I bought of course. After that, I went to Pierce to sell some crops so that I could commission a barn from Robin. It was a good luck day, so I spent a good amount of my time down in the mines, where I made it to floor 85. Small steps everyone, small steps. As I was returning to my farm, I chopped down some trees and found another woody secret. I'm not really sure what to do with the duplicate, so I just put it in one of my chests for now. By the end of the day, I reached level 5 in foraging and took the gatherer profession. Day 27, I said good morning to my invisible chickens, then opened a few geodes and my 2 mystery boxes, which contained some coffee, always happy to get some free coffee, and then donated more artifacts and minerals to the museum. Since I dumped almost all of my wood supplies on the barn, I decided to do some slight deforestation in the Cindersap forest. Then dropped off a bunch of materials by the community center to free up some inventory and chest space, but also to finish some bundles. I completed the blacksmith, adventurer, and construction bundle. After that, I witnessed my first ever fish frenzy at the mountain lake. It was the last day of spring on day 28. I went into town, where I saw that Clint wanted me to gather some coal in return for a prize ticket. I quickly went down into the mines to murder some dust sprites, returned with the 5 pieces of coal, and with that acquired my 3rd prize ticket. While I was there, I also turned in my pickaxe for an upgrade. Since the steel upgrade was pretty expensive, I spent the rest of my day fishing at the mountain lake. I reached level 5 in farming and went with the tiller profession. And that's it for spring. First day of summer, I removed any dead crops from my farm and prepared the field for the new ones. I unfortunately only had regular sprinklers for now, but hey, it's better than nothing. In town, I bought at least one of each of the new summer crops and then planted them at my field. It's a bit messy, but I'll promise I'll make it better once I have quality sprinklers. I did a good amount of fishing by the ocean, where I caught some of the new fish, and later I made 2 mayo machines, since my chickens are all grown up by now. I was sick and tired of the insane amount of hay that was everywhere on my farm, so on day 30 I went to Robin's, where I commissioned my first silo. I picked up my silver pickaxe from Clint, expanded my crop field, finished a summer foraging bundle, and did some more fishing. While I was doing that, I got another fish frenzy notification, a pufferfish one this time. I was nowhere near prepared to catch a pufferfish, but I had to give it a try. So I rushed down to the ocean, and after many failed attempts, I actually managed to pull one in. Another fish down for the community center. The next morning, I went straight to Marnie's, where I bought myself 2 cows. Say hello to Jerry and Melon. I spent pretty much the entire day on my farm, chopping trees, breaking rocks, and just cleaning up a bit more. I also fished up my first rainbow trout and pike. Since it was raining on day 32, I went down to the beach, where I caught myself a tilapia, and got another dinosaur egg in a treasure chest. Are you convinced yet that fishing is the best activity in this game? I also fished up a red snapper, and by the mountain lake I got my first sturgeon. A few fish later, and I had another great treasure chest with the Neptune's glaive inside. Finally, a proper weapon upgrade. With all the fish that I've caught, I was able to complete the ocean and lake fish bundle. On day 33, I wanted to commission my first pond on the farm, but decided it was probably better to upgrade my axe instead. While I was at the blacksmith, I opened a few geodes and mystery boxes, donated more artifacts to the museum, and got my first rare crow as a reward. With the newly obtained fire quartz, I headed over to the community center and finished the geologist bundle, and with that, my first room was completed. I chucked down a coffee and sprinted over to the Cinesep forest to visit the traveling merchant. I won't be mentioning this anymore unless I actually buy something from her. After that, I went to the mines, and on my way there, I dug up Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick, my third book. +1 defense is nothing insane, but I take all the defense that I can get. By the end of the day, I saw the little rats dance around the minecarts. Thanks guys, appreciate the hard work. Day 34. Not much to say about it. I spent the entire day in the mines, where I finally made it to floor 100, which means I got my first star drop. Was about time really. The next morning I harvested some summer squash and radishes, bought a milk pail from Marnie's, picked up my steel axe from Clint, and then wanted to commission a pond, but had too little money for that. So I spent the rest of my day fishing by the mountain lake and farm. On day 36 I went once again to the carpenter to commission that pond. I was very unsure on where to place it, so I just put it on this little island right here. After that, I repaired the broken bridge down at the beach, picked up the forageables there, chopped some trees in the Cinesep forest, and visited the secret woods to collect some fern, hardwood, and while I was there, also fished up the wood skip. The next day, I picked up my first large eggs, and my cows were all grown up now, which means I can get milk every day now. I opened more geodes and mystery boxes at Clint's, and then decided to head into the mines since it was a good luck day. While I was minding my own business, I noticed that I had a holy blade in my inventory. It has +25 crit and crusader on it, so that was a nice find. I made it to floor 115, but had to call it a day there since I didn't have any energy left. The pond was ready on day 38, so I plopped in a sturgeon since his roe is the highest selling one out of all of the fish that I currently have. I feel like I should probably cut some grass down here at the animal area, but I just cannot be asked. I gave Maru a strawberry for her birthday, did a foraging run around town and at the beach where I found a rainbow shell, and then started to hand out some gifts and also bought Shane a very delayed birthday present at the bar. The next morning I took care of my crop field, petted my animals, and then headed into town, because today was the Luau festival. After talking with everyone, I placed a gold quality cauliflower into the potluck soup, and then waited for the governor to try it. And he seemed to really enjoy it. Gold star cauliflower, you never disappoint me. That gave me free friendship points with everyone around town. Sweet! On day 40, I took all the wood and stone that I've gathered so far and visited the carpenter, where I commissioned a coop upgrade. After that, I went down into the mines, where I reached the bottom and obtained the skull key. Unfortunately, I cannot really use it right now, but I promise I'll work on the bus repair soonish. In the near future, I guess. Once again, I had no wood left, so I did some more deforestation in the Cinesep forest, and by the end of the day I finally reached level 6 in farming, which means hardwood fences, cheese press, but more importantly, quality sprinklers. The next morning I right away crafted my first batch of quality sprinklers, started to lay out another field, went into town to buy some more melon seeds, and made more sprinklers. I relocated some machines, crafted 2 cheese press, and then cleaned up the farm a bit more, until I ran out of energy. Day 42, I harvested my blueberries and summer squash. I gave the sturgeon a diamond so that they can expand and hopefully produce some roe soon. The coop upgrade was done, so I visited Marnie's ranch, where I bought 4 little duckies called Peanut, Chickpea, Atsuki, and Pinto. After that, I went to the community center, where I finished the summer crops bundle, and then stopped by the carpenter to buy a few flooring recipes. While I was there, I also moved my pond down here and the coop by 1 tile, so that it's symmetrical with the barn. Back at the farm, I started to place down some floorings around the pond, chopped down some trees, and while I was doing that, I saw my duck swimming for the first time. If this is not your #1 reason why you're playing on the Riverlands farm, then I don't know what is. I made a layout for the tiniest tree farm ever, and then went to bed. On day 43, I did some foraging down at the beach in the morning, and after that I went to the mines to gather stone and ore. While I was doing that, I finished my first Monster Slayer goal, which was for cave insects. This rewarded me with the insect head, which I immediately sold since I already had a way better weapon. I found a ghost fish, which I'll need for the community center, and by the end of the day I managed to get to level 5 in combat, where I took the fighter profession. The next morning, I upgraded my hoe at Clint's, made 3 more quality sprinklers and replaced the regular ones, and then went back into the mines to collect yet again more ore. Only this time I was a lot more successful with that, since it was a good luck day. Day number 45, I saw that my orange tree was fully grown now, which means it will yield at least 1 orange each day during summer. I waited very patiently for Sam to come out of his room, since it was his birthday. I gave him an egg because I don't have anything else that he likes. Then spent the whole day, and I mean the whole rest of the day, down in the mines at level 100, where I tried to fish up a lava eel. Emphasis on tried, I wasn't that lucky. And on day 46, I did the exact same thing. Well, first I picked up my copper hoe, then went to Willie's to stock up on bait and also bought some trout soup, but then I was back in the mines. I fished up a whole bunch of trash, my first cave jelly, but unfortunately still no lava eel. The next day I picked up my first duck eggs, then sold a few crops to Piers so that I can afford a barn upgrade from Robbins. And while I was there, I gave Demetrius a strawberry for the anniversary of his birth. Silly guy. I already saw the sign for the upcoming trout derby while I was foraging in the Cindersap forest. Very excited for that one. I bought a rare seed from a traveling cart since fall is gonna be here soon. Let's just hope I don't forget to plant it. Back at my farm, I collected a bunch of items and donated them to the community center to free up some inventory space. I really have to make more chests soon. Day 48, I admired my ducks swimming in the water and then went straight down to the Cindersap forest, because today was the first day of the trout derby. You know what that means. I managed to get 4 golden tags, which I traded in at the boot for a 10 kit, crab pot, mystery box and a diamond. I desperately needed more inventory space, so the next day I finally purchased the last backpack upgrade from Piers, and then it was back to fishing. Unfortunately, I only got 2 golden tags that day, but hey, I got this really cool mounted trout as a reward, which I proudly displayed in my farmhouse. The next morning, I visited Willie at his beach house and purchased the iridium rod. It was a good luck day, so I went into the mines, where I reset level 60 over and over for some coal and iron. I managed to get over 130 iron ore and found my first 2 coffee beans. The coffee will have to wait though until I unlock the greenhouse. Day 51. I sadly don't have any footage to show you. I don't know what happened because I specifically remember recording since it was the Green Rain event, but I don't know where the footage went, so I'm sorry. But this time actually not much happened. I spent the whole day walking around the valley collecting fiber, moss, wood and fiddlehead fern. I also saw Demetrius in his hazard suit, which I thought was funny. And yeah, that's about it. There isn't a whole lot to do during that mini event. Thanks to the Green Rain, almost all of my trees were fully grown on the farm. So I made my first 6 tappers and placed them onto the trees. I bought 2 goats named Lily and Poppy, picked up my first sturgeon roe and put it into a preserve jar. I gave Maru a diamond for a quest she posted yesterday, and then spent the rest of my day resetting floor 20 in the mines to gather copper ore. While I was doing that, I got incredibly lucky and a grub dropped a prismatic shard. Holy moly! That is a 0.05% drop chance, so that's pretty neat. My melon harvest was ready on day 53. I kept the gold ones for the community center and sold the rest. I gave George a hot pepper, Jody a cauliflower, and Pam wanted a grape, which in return she gave me another prize ticket. For that, I got 3 mystery boxes, but what I really want are those 4 preserve jars. I spent the rest of my day figuring out a layout for paths and sprinklers. Yes, I know it's unsymmetrical, I'll fix it soon. The next morning, I commissioned a gold pickaxe from Clint, opened some geodes and mystery boxes while I was there, donated to the museum, and stopped by the carpenter to purchase the big chest recipe. Back at the farm, I made a few big chests and started to relocate the empty ones and organized everything. Oh, and I also fixed the paths. It's still not perfect, but we're getting there. On day 55, I finished the quality crops bundle, did some wood chopping in the Sinasa forest, more chest organizing, and setting up a sprinkler layout. I picked up my first batch of caviar on the last day of summer, stopped by the blacksmith to get my shiny new gold pickaxe, and then was once again occupied down in the mines, where I got my hands on the Monster Compendium. After collecting ore and stone, it was time for everyone's favorite festival, this time for real. I was kinda tempted to buy the seafoam pudding from Pierce, but 5,000 gold is way too expensive. What's wrong with you, Pierre? After talking with the townies, we welcomed the Moonlight Jellies and enjoyed the show. My favorite season is finally here. I removed any dead crops and debris from the field, carefully calculated how many seeds I can buy, and ended up planting 80 pumpkin seeds, 16 corn, an eggplant, a few grapes, and the rest are cranberries. Oh, and don't worry, I didn't forget to plant the rare seed. Thank God. That happens every single time. By the end of the day, I made 3 more sprinklers and planted some broccoli and yams. As I was walking into town on day 58, I got the cutscene with Robin and Louis for the special order board, where I accepted Linus Community Cleanup, visited the community center and finished the artisan bundle, which gave me my first keg as a reward, then went down to floor 100 in the mines to fish up 20 pieces of trash. This time I did actually manage to hook a lava eel, but unfortunately I couldn't pull him in. Skill issue, I guess. At least I managed to finish Linus's quest. The next morning, I spent a good amount of my time fishing at the town river, where I caught a tiger trout and a salmon, which I'll need for the community center. The trout, not the salmon. I completely forgot that you get a free prize ticket every time you finish a special order, so that's cool. I really want to get my hands on those preserve jars. Later at the beach, I caught a sea and super cucumber. On day 60, I forgot to record for the first half of the day, and I promise that's the last time this happens. Anyways, I had full hearts with Rusty now, and he actually brought me a dinosaur egg. If you're confused by this statement, then let me elaborate. Ever since 1.6, your pets can bring you gifts once you have maximum friendship with them. There are several items you can get, and each pet has a different list of items. There's a 0.28% chance for a dog to bring you a dinosaur egg. What a good boy I have. So, thanks Rusty. I upgraded my watering can, then went mining, and that's when I realized I wasn't recording. But besides collecting stone and chopping wood on the farm, I didn't do that much else. On day 61, I got a letter from Marnie, who let me know that I can now adopt more pets from her if I wanted to. Since it was raining, I was once again fishing in town, where I caught a walleye and then an eel down by the ocean. With that, I had everything to finish the night fish, river fish, and animal bundle at the community center. The next morning, I picked up my first eggplant harvest. After that, I went into town, where I got my hands on the Alleyway Buffet. This book makes it so that you have a greater chance of receiving items in trash cans. I need all the free stuff that I can get. I picked up my copper watering can from Clint, and then spent the whole day fishing by the mountain lake, where I caught a midnight carp and also maxed out my first skill, which is of course fishing. I chose the angler profession so that I can get even more money from selling fish. Day 63, I sold some crops and forageables to Piers so that I can afford a deluxe barn upgrade from Robin. I had almost no wood left after that, so I spent the rest of my day chopping trees and hardwood stumps. I awoke to my first cranberry and amaranth harvest on day 64. I kept some of the amaranths for Quest and shipped everything else. It was officially blackberry season, so I chucked down one of my coffees and went to work. As I was checking some trash cans around town, I got my hands on the trash catalog. Not my favorite one, but still a good find. I accepted Willie's juicy Buck Wanted quest, found Lannis's berry basket, returned the berry basket, and then went into the mines to get started on collecting the buck meat, which continued on day 65. I went straight into the mines and reset floor 25 until I had 100 buck meat. While I was doing that, I finally got my first ancient seed. That took way too long, but better late than never. By the end of the day, I had all the buck meat that I needed, so I rushed down to the beach, where I dumped everything in this bin next to Willie's shop. Another special request completed. The next morning, I collected another prize ticket, which earned me this super adorable bed. Upgraded my hoe at Clint's, opened some geodes and mystery boxes, where I got the Book of Mysteries from. We're making good progress on the books, donated a few pieces to the museum, and picked up my ancient seed as a reward. Unfortunately, the ancient fruit empire will have to wait a bit until I have the greenhouse, which shouldn't take that much longer. I visited Willie down at the beach, where he made good use of the buttload of buck meat I brought him. I don't remember it looking that way when I dropped it off yesterday, but I'm sure it's fine. Back at home, I swapped out my old musty bed with my shiny new one, and now it's hella cozy in here. I donated more items to the community center and finished the fall crops and exotic foraging bundle. I had Gunter at my front door on day 67, who handed me the sewer key. Thanks, buddy. The barn upgrade was done, so I went over to Marnie's, where I bought one pig named Truffle, a sheep named Chocolate, and then spent the whole day on my farm, where I laid down some paths and rearranged my machines. I was chopping down trees in the Cinnaset forest the next morning when I remembered I had unfinished business to take care of. I still don't have a lava eel, and I cannot allow that any longer. Last time I stood no chance, but this time I came prepared. Well, that wasn't too bad actually. Remember kids, bring your trout soup and cork bobbers if you're trying to catch difficult fish. Well anyways, I was sick and tired of buying bait all the time, so I crafted myself 2 worm bins and turned them into deluxe ones right away. On funny number day, I had another cranberry harvest and my fairy roses were also done. Why did I waste money on fairy roses, you ask? I have no idea. After catching that lava eel, it was time to build a second pond, because boy do I love my ponds. While I was at Robin's shop, I purchased a few more crafting recipes, gave Abigail an amethyst because it was her birthday, picked up my steel hoe from Clint, and then went mining for stones since I dumped everything on the pond construction. I awoke to a glorious pumpkin field the next morning. I harvested them and shipped almost everything off, but kept the gold ones for gifting. As I was waiting for Piers to open up, I found the garbage hat while rummaging through some trash cans. I'm gonna reserve that one for my horse. I bought more pumpkin seeds, which I planted right away, and then went into the mines yet again. After going to bed, I was very happy to see some big numbers from all the pumpkins that I've shipped off today. On day 71, I had all the items that I needed to finish the fall crops bundle, so I headed into town, where I also stopped by the special order board and accepted the prismatic jelly quest, then dropped everything off at the community center, and with that, the pantry was completed, which means I finally have the greenhouse unlocked. I commissioned a deluxe coop upgrade from Robin, and then placed the lava eel into my newly finished pond. I spent the rest of my day resetting floor 61 in the mines, in hopes of finding the prismatic slime, but I had no luck with that. After going to bed, I watched the little rats fix up my greenhouse, and also reached level 10 in farming, where I took the artisan profession. The next day, I took some of the best items that I had and went into town, because today was the Stardew Valley Fair. I felt pretty confident about my Grange display, and mostly had cool quality items, and of course the prismatic shard. And I won first prize! Suck it, Pierre! I gambled at the spinning wheel until I had enough tokens for the star drop, and then I saw that you can also get one prize ticket for 1,000 tokens. So I gambled a bit more and also got the rare crow and the sunflowers. I guess I'm going for a blue theme in my house this time. On day 73, I traded in the prize ticket for those sweet preserve jars, which I'll definitely need soon for my pawns. I managed to get my hands on enough iridium ore by now so that I could craft my first iridium sprinkler. Just that one, unfortunately, but better than none. I placed the sprinkler in my greenhouse and planted the ancient seed with some Delic speed grow on it. Then spent a good amount of my time down in the mines in search of the prismatic jelly. Still searching though. As I was tending to my animals the next day, I saw that my dino egg hatched. I ended up naming him Littlefoot, and if you understand that reference, that means we're old. Look at the little guy, he's so cute. At this point, I was sick and tired of always walking around in slow motion everywhere, so I chopped down my hardwood trees and then commissioned a stable from Robin, which I should have done a lot sooner. Then went back into the mines, where after resetting the floor a bunch of times, I finally found the little bugger. I wanted to have a memento of this glorious achievement, so I went back to my farm and placed the prismatic jelly on a stone sign. If you didn't know, the prismatic jelly will disappear from your inventory if you don't hand it over to the wizard, but you can place it on any sign and it will stay there forever. I chucked down a coffee and sprinted over to the Cinesep forest, where I saw a giant stump with a question mark above it. With 100 pieces of hardwood I can repair it, but I just dumped all of my wood on the stable, so that's not gonna happen anytime soon. I dropped off the jelly at the wizard's tower and with that got a bit of cash, but also a very important recipe. On day 75 I got said recipe in my mail, which is the monster musk. This is gonna be a tremendous help in the future with the monster slayer goals. I incubated my second dinosaur egg, bought one rabbit, which I named Nero, and a pair of shears, so that I can finally free the sheep from its wool. Then went foraging and cutting trees around the Cinesep forest. Can you believe I'm still only at level 8 in foraging? Speaking about skills, I found the Stardew Valley Almanac, but since I'm already maxed out in farming, I'm gonna save this one for later. The next morning, my stable had been finished. Everyone, please welcome Roach. But something was missing. There, perfect. Roach and I made our way into town, where I sold a few crops to Pierre, and then headed into the community center, where I finished the entire vault bundle. It is so satisfying when you can complete a whole room at once. 3 rooms done, 3 left to go. As I was returning back to my farm, I noticed that, unfortunately, Roach was too fat to go past my fish ponds. So that's a bummer. Gotta move these somewhere else soon. I placed down my crystallarium that I got from the vault bundle and popped in a jade, so that I can trade these in the future for some staircases. Chopped down my orange tree and replanted it in the greenhouse alongside with a pomegranate sapling I've gotten earlier from the prize ticket machine. Then placed down more paths around the farm and then watched the little rats fix up the old bus station. Look at them go. On day 77 I visited the desert for the first time, where I got to meet Sandy. I gave her a sweet pea while I was there and then traded in my precious prismatic shard for the glorious galaxy sword. The Holy Blade has been a reliable partner up until now, but it was time to say goodbye. The main reason why I came here was actually to get the last fish that I needed for the fish tank, which was the sandfish. After that I went back to the valley where I finished the specialty fish bundle, and with that completed another room. The next day I stopped by the carpenter to commission my first house upgrade, then went back to the desert where I headed into the Skull Caves for the first time. I'm pretty sure it was a bad luck day since I didn't really make it that far, but after being here for like 2 minutes I found a dinosaur floor, and a bit later I got my first treasure room on floor 13. I'm not joking. It even had really decent loot. A A free crystallarium? I'll take it. I managed to get 16 iridium ore, which is really sad for a first Skull Cavern run, but that means at least 3 more sprinklers for the greenhouse. On day 79, I started on Mr. Cheese quest by placing 1 battery inside this locker, placing a rainbow shell in the box by the train station, then went once again to the desert where I bought some beets for the next step of the quest, and also bought 45 starfruit seeds. I crafted more iridium sprinklers and planted everything in the greenhouse. The next morning I rode into town where I accepted Robin's project from the special order board, upgraded my watering can, opened some geodes, donated to the museum, and then spent the rest of my day gathering hardwood and regular wood. On day 81 I woke up in a bigger house, and what's even weirder, in a bigger bed? Thanks Robin? The sweet gemberry was ready to harvest, so I went straight to the secret woods to hand it over to Master Cannoli. 3rd star drop obtained. The rest of the day I kinda just ran around the farm with Roach, planning on where I want to have future buildings. Day 82 I checked the traveling merchant, as I do every Friday and Sunday, but still no red cabbage unfortunately. Finished gathering the hardwood for Robin's quest, so I rushed over to the carpenter and dropped off all the materials. Then commissioned another coop. Why a coop? Well, since winter is right around the corner, pigs are basically gonna be useless for a whole season, so I thought I'd get started on the dinosaur coop, which will take quite a while to set up anyways. I picked up my watering can and upgraded my axe, got another prize ticket, which I traded in for Friendship 101. I purchased 3 heaters from Marnie's so that my animals can have it nice and cozy inside during winter. By the end of the day, I finished the chef and enchanter bundle. I had my last pumpkin harvest ready on day 83. I replanted some wheat seeds so that the soil will stay watered. I crafted 8 kegs and filled them with pumpkins, because I don't have anything better right now. After that, I went into the Skull Caves, where I stayed until the festival started. Despite being once again a bad luck day, I got yet again another treasure room. Later in the evening, I made my way into town, because today was the Spirit's Eve. Not much to say about this though. I bought the rare crow from Pierce, and got my hands on a golden pumpkin. And yeah, that's about it. The next morning, I harvested my last cranberries, picked up my shiny new axe from Clint, and then entered the sewers for the first time, where I got to meet Krobus. I gave him a pumpkin before he could even introduce himself. The main reason why I was here was to purchase the starter from his shop. And that's exactly what I did. Then spent the rest of my day collecting wood around the valley. And that's it for fall. I awoke to my farm being fully covered in snow on day 85. It is officially winter and also my least favorite season, but we're gonna make the best out of it, don't worry. I was disappointed to see that leaving the fall crops did absolutely nothing since almost all of the fields were gone, so that's nice. The beets were ready to harvest, so I rode into town and placed the beets inside the mayor's fridge, accepted Gal's famous omelette request, gave Krobus a pumpkin for his birthday, and while I was in the sewers, I caught my first legendary fish, the mutant carp. After that, I visited the community center and finished the winter foraging bundle. Now, we're only missing a few more items for the bulletin board, and I pray that I get that red cabbage on the traveling card. By the end of the day, I planted some powder melon and winter seeds. I was under the impression that you could also plant mixed seeds during winter, but apparently not. The next morning, I commissioned a coop upgrade from Robin, gave the sand dragon some solar essence, bought more starfruit seeds, planted them in my greenhouse, and then visited the quarry for the first time. I spent a few in-game hours clearing out the entire area, and thank God we have coal notes now. Such a nice addition. Back at the farm, I picked up the club card from a log pile, and with that, finished Mr. Cheese quest. On day 87, my second dino hatched, and I named him Ducky. My pumpkin juice was ready for collecting, so I shipped everything off and refilled the kegs with more leftover pumpkins. I stopped by Linus' tent to give him a cactus for his birthday, and then went once again to the desert, where I spent my day down in the Skull Caves. Nothing major to report though. I did manage to get another prismatic shard, and then a bit later found the Combat Quarterly, which I immediately read for an instant boost to my combat skill. The coop upgrade was finished the next morning, so I relocated my 2 dinos into the new building. I picked up my first rabbit's foot that day, so I went to this truck next to the Joja Mart and traded it in for the lucky charm. Earlier by the beach, I picked up a Nautilus shell, which I donated to the community center, and with that, finished the field research bundle. Now I'm only missing that darn red cabbage. After that, I went down to the quarry mine to pick up the golden scythe, and while I was there, something truly incredible happened. I got the infamous lucky ring from a brown slime. Holy moly. For the people who don't know, the lucky ring is one of the best rings in the entire game. I thought you could only get this from panning around Ginger Island, so I had to look this up afterwards, and apparently it's a 1.2% chance to drop from a special slime as well. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, I picked up the golden scythe, sold a few weapons and rings at the Adventure Guild, and then picked up Mapping Cave Systems. This book gives me a 50% discount on Marlon's item retrieval, which hopefully I'll never need. The lucky ring blessed me on day 89 because when I checked the traveling card, she finally had the red cabbage for sale, even the seeds. I went back to my farm to pick up the 10 hay for the fodder bundle, which I had for a very long time now but kind of forgot about. I donated the last 2 pieces, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, the community center had been completed. I'm not gonna lie to you, I am super proud of this. I remember back in summer there were a couple of times I forgot to check the traveling merchant, so I thought maybe I'd missed out on the cabbage, but we're all good now. After that, I visited Gunther at the saloon and finished his special order by placing 24 eggs in his fridge. The bookseller was in town that day and I felt like I deserved a little treat for myself, so I purchased the price catalog. With that, I can see the sell price of all of my items. It's nothing crazy, but again, it's a nice thing to have. For the rest of the day, I chopped down any remaining trees in the Cinesep forest and then headed to bed. On day 90, I received a mini fridge from Gus for completing his quest yesterday. I don't know how you managed to squeeze that into my mailbox, and I'm not gonna question that any further. As I made my way into town, I saw that every villager gathered at the community center. Mayor Lewis thanked me for fixing the building and rewarded me with the Stardew Hero Award. Thanks, buddy. I repaired the broken stump with all the hardwood pieces that I've gathered, and then tried to catch another legendary fish, but failed miserably at that. I need to be better prepared for this one. The next morning, I gave Caroline a birthday present, commissioned a deluxe coop upgrade from Robin, then had a cutscene with Linus, where I got the best friend achievement. I love this guy. I rode down to the beach, where I visited Willy. In the back of his shop, he showed me his old fishing boat and told me if I can help him repair it, he could show me some of the Fern Islands. I told him I'd be happy to help out, but unfortunately Ginger Island will have to wait a bit, since I just stumped all the hardwood on the big stump. Speaking about the stump, I got to meet the raccoon that day, who immediately asked for some food. Is it okay for me to just feed a wild animal? I didn't want it to be rude, so I brought him the clams and fish, and in return he gave me some powder melon seeds. I came prepared this time, and after a bit of struggling, I managed to pull in the glacier fish. Back at the farm, I planted the seeds the raccoon gave me and noticed there were glowing butterflies on my farm. Has this always been a thing? On day 92, it was the Festival of Ice. I purchased the pumpkin soup and rare crow from Pierre. Then it was time for the fishing competition. I love that you can see my little ducky bobber here as well, even though I'm using a different fishing pole. I got first place by fishing up 6 slimy fish. I mean, it would have been a bit embarrassing if I'd lose this one. One of the rewards was the sailor cap, which I thought would fit me a bit more instead of the straw hat. Now we're looking like a proper fisherman. Day 93, my first starfruit harvest was ready. This is going to be a nice cash boost once I turn them into wine. I visited the desert where I chopped down some of the palm trees there because I desperately need more wood. Bought more starfruit seeds from Sandy. Went up to the casino for the first time where I got to meet Mr. G. I honestly don't know why I came here. It was a very bad luck day, so I basically just wasted money on the slot machine. The next morning I picked up my first ancient fruit. Only took 94 days. I immediately put it back into the seed maker and got pretty lucky because now I have 3 more ancient seeds to plant. Back in town, I accepted Robin's resource rush, say that 3 times in a row, where she wants me to collect 1,000 pieces of stone. I put in my axe for an iridium upgraded Clint's, opened some geodes and mystery boxes, donated 2 more items to the museum, and then spent a few in-game hours in the Skull Caves because today was finally a good luck day. And on day 85, I did the exact same thing, Skull Caves. I got a treasure floor with a free sea foam pudding inside, so that was nice, and also a good amount of iridium ore. Day 96 was the first day of the Squid Festival. You know what that means. Cue the fishing montage. After fishing for about 10 in-game hours, I managed to get 8 squid for the Iridium tier rewards. That includes deluxe bait, mystery boxes, some cooked dishes, a pearl, a really cool squid poster, and The Art of Crabbing, another book for the collection. As I was heading back home, I noticed really cozy Christmas lights in the trees around town. Man, I love the details in this game. I commissioned another barn from Robin on day 97 for future pigs. I decided to skip out on the second festival day since I really wanted to finish the special request, so I spent pretty much the entire day resetting floor 61 to gather materials. And by midnight I had all the stones that I needed and also reached level 10 in mining, where I chose the prospector profession. The next morning I got the stone chest recipe from Robin in my mailbox. I dropped by the raccoon and he had a friend now. That was fast. The greedy little guy requested some dried powder melon, so I rode over to Pierce and purchased the dehydrator recipe, which I probably should have done a long time ago. I collected my iridium axe from Clint, got a prismatic shard from an Omni Geode, which I donated to the museum. Back at my farm, I planted more oak trees with some tree fertilizer on top, since I really need to get more kegs going. Crafted more mayo machines, which I relocated into the animal buildings, made 5 more kegs and filled them with starfruit. Believe it or not, I actually really hate placing machines in my house, but I just cannot be bothered right now to build a shed. Day 99, I commissioned a gold watering can from Clint, visited the casino once again, but this time I had a lot more luck. After a bit of gambling by the slot machine, I had enough tokens to buy a few farm warp totems and the alien rare crow. After that, I harvested more starfruit in the greenhouse, stopped by the special order board where I accepted Pierre's prime produce, then went on a little shopping spree because today was the first day of the night market. I bought some farm decorations, a very cheap seafoam pudding from the traveling merchant, the red eagle painting from Lupini, and a whole bunch of parsnip seeds so that I can hopefully finish Pierre's quest in time. I watched the whole mermaid show without music on, so it was a bit awkward. And after that, I tried to get the free pearl by pressing the correct order on these shell buttons, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work. I've done this multiple times and even had the secret note, but nothing happened. So that was a waste of my time. Anyways, last thing I did today was go down into the submarine ride where I fished up a blobfish, midnight squid, and a spookfish. On day 100, I picked up my first batch of starfruit wine. It wasn't much, but it's honest work. Another dino hatched, and I ended up naming him Sarah. The dino empire is slowly coming together. I picked up some of the winter forageables that were ready and turned them into yet again more seeds. I sacrificed all of my deluxe fertilizer on the parsnip seeds, which I of course planted in a greenhouse. Commissioned a big barn upgrade from Robin, waited for the night market to open, where I spent the rest of the evening fishing in a submarine. I rode down to the Cinesep forest on day 101, where I gave the raccoon the dried powder melon and crystal fruit jelly, which in return he rewarded me with the raccoon's journal. I stopped by the wizard's tower to give Asmodeus some void essence for his birthday, and then did a bunch of errands around town, since by now I had a whole bunch of quests piling up in my journal. While I was doing that, I met the trash bear who asked for some maple syrup, and in return he shared his beer knowledge with me, which makes salmon and blackberries 3 times more valuable. Not that I would ever sell those, but I appreciate the gesture. more fishing in the submarine, and when I returned to my farm, I saw that another batch of starfruit wine was ready. I refilled the kegs with, yet again, more starfruit, then headed to bed. And holy moly, I forgot how well starfruit wine sells. 25,000 for just 8 bottles is insane. Day 102, I went straight to a carpenter in the morning, where I bought 2 stacks of wood and commissioned the deluxe barn upgrade. Then visited the desert, where I spent the remaining time down in the mines. Despite it being a very bad luck day, I got another lucky ring in one of the crates. Yep. I cannot wait to go to Ginger Island and combine these rings at the forge. The next morning, I crafted a few more preserve jars for my fish ponds, and thank God my oak trees were finally ready, so I made a tapper for each of them, and hopefully get more oak resin soon. I stopped by the bookseller to look at his trading stock for the book duplicates I've gathered so far, but none of these trade options seemed really good, so I decided it would be better to save them for later. I made 5 more kegs, which I of course placed in my house, because where else? Swapped out all of the regular sized chests that I still had with big ones, then decorated the farm with some braziers and stone paths. I collected my parsnip harvest on day 104, but was missing 2 golden crops to finish Pierre's quest, so I unfortunately had to replant more. I gave Evelyn a chocolate cake for her birthday, picked up my golden watering can from Clint, which I should have done days ago, commissioned a 3rd pond from the carpenter, which I decided to move over here in this spot, then planned out the layout for future ponds in case I need more, which of course I do. Day 105, I woke up to more starfruit wine. I wonder how it smells in my house. It was a good luck day and also a Sunday, so I traded in all the jade that I've been collecting so far to the desert trader for 35 staircases. Not a lot, but better than nothing. Then went down into the caves. Nothing much to report though. I found yet another treasure floor where I got a blue cowboy hat. Are these more common now? I swear I've never found this many treasure rooms before. And by the end of the day, I had over 80 iridium ore. Unfortunately, I wasn't even remotely close to making it to floor 100, which is a bummer, but oh well. The next 2 days were also spent down in the Skull Cave, only on day 107. I wasn't paying attention to my health bar and died to a serpent. Thankfully, I didn't really lose all that much. On day 108, I had all the gold star vegetables for Pierre's request, so I dropped everything off at his store, collected another prize ticket, which in return gave me a free dehydrator, accepted Emily's rock rejuvenation quest, and commissioned a gold hoe upgrade from the blacksmith. I bought my first auto grabber from Marnie's, because I was sick and tired of always having to manually collect the goods from my barn animals, purchased another pig, which I named Enoki, built another stable and moved the barn building, gave Emily all the rocks and finished her quest, and by the end of the day I picked up all the winter forageables on my farm, where I finally reached level 10 in foraging. Can you believe that this is the second last skill that I max out? Kinda embarrassing. I of course took the botanist profession for those sweet iridium quality truffles. Day 109 was a lot more chill. It was the feast of the Winter Star Festival, and my secret gift recipient for this year was Jody. I gifted her a diamond, and my secret gift giver was Alex, who gave me some wine. Nothing fancy, he says. I don't know man, wine seems pretty fancy to me. Free cash for me. By the end of the day I crafted 6 more kegs, which I filled with more starfruit, and yeah, I should really get that shed going soon. Nah, it's fine. The next morning, I stopped by the raccoon, and now he had a little baby. Look how cute he is. He wanted me to bring him some dried purple mushrooms, but unfortunately I was 1 short, so that will have to wait. I bought 4 more pigs, which I named Chitake, Portobello, Buttons, and Hedgehog. And more skull caves for the rest of the day. I visited Robin's shop on day 111, where I bought some crafting recipes, picked up my gold hoe while I was in town, plastered my house with even more kegs, and then spent the remaining day decorating my farm with some braziers and fences. Oh, and I also crafted more lightning rods for the upcoming seasons. Day 112 was the last day of the season and also of this video. I went once again to the carpenter, where I finally commissioned my first shed. While I was there, I also made sure to purchase 2 stacks of wood before the prices go up next year. Back at the farm, I crafted a whole bunch of grass starters and planted them around my farm, and then I just kinda chilled around with Roach and Rusty for the rest of the day, because I didn't really feel like doing anything else. I called it in early that day and went to bed one last time. And that concludes my first year on the Riverlands farm. So how did we do? Well, we almost maxed out all of the skills, except combat, which is great. The collection menu is still a bit empty, but we did make good progress when it comes to the fishing and museum collection, especially the minerals. Managed to finish both goals that I set myself on the beginning of this playthrough, which was the community center, and have 1 fish pond. It's been a hot minute since I completed the community center in year 1, so I'm really happy about that one. It's a bit unfortunate that I haven't made it to Ginger Island yet, but that will be priority number 1 in the next video. Feel free to leave a comment down below, I love reading them, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.